Tractate Bava Batra, page 110. Fascinating subject today. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all those who are watching us. Here we are in Long Island, New York. The subject of today, it's based on the idea of matchmaking. When one makes a decision to marry someone, what exactly he needs to check. And here's the rabbi instructed us, as we explained in the previous daf, that he needs to check the family. Part of that is המראה והנושא אישה צריך שיבדוק באחיה. A person married a woman, he should check her brother, meaning the quality of people, who they are. The Rashbam explains, since the brothers are usually resemble the family, resemble the children that are going to come out of this unit will resemble the brothers of the mother. Therefore, he should check. The Torah is very prudent in words, and if the Torah uses in the book of Shemot, chapter 6, that Aharon took Elisheva, daughter of Aminadav, sister of Nachshon, if the Torah said that she's daughter of Aminadav, obviously I knew that she's the sister of Nachshon. It already written, for example, in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 1, verse 7. It's already said in other places. So they explain, why the text said that she is the sister of Nachshon. So they explain, since one look and examined the words, it's because Aharon married her. Part of the reason it's because she was the sister of Nachshon, that he was the one who jumped to the water, the famous Midrash, the head of the tribe of Yehuda. So therefore, one who married a woman should check her brother. Tana rov banim domim leachei ha'em. So Tosfot in Yevamot 62 said that the Bnei Oto Mazar, which means that the most of the sons resembles the mother's brothers. Now, the great Rav Eli Lopian was a good friend of my late father. So he used to say that when it's come to shidduchim, it's not only, as we explained in the previous daf, to check the family, but also the midot, the trait, the personality. It's crucial. He said that famous midrash about Abraham instructed Eliezer to find a daughter for his son Isaac, Yitzchak. So he asked specifically from to take from the family of Rivka, which was not the best people, but in a sense of Avodah Zarah, it's others. But as far as Bnot Canaan, it's well known that they are corrupted when it's come to midot, to a trait. So therefore, the Midrash Rabbah said, Keshoshana ben Achochim, that's reflect to Rivka, that she was like the beautiful rose among the throat. Anyway, so the idea is, when she comes from a father, from the house of Torah, she sees the father dedicate himself to study Torah, so then she raised the children accordingly. God forbid, if a person is no longer among the living, he knows that she will take care of that and continue that trait and that style of life. Anyway, we go back to the story we discussed in the previous daf, which is the story of Pesel Micha, the special idol or stages that Micha have in the story of Yehonatan. Vayasu Sham, the people of the tribe of Dan, again that's book of Judges chapter 18 verse 3, Vayomru lo, they said to Yehonatan, Mi heviacha halom, uma ata ose baze, uma lecha fo. They said to him, who brought you here, and what are you doing in this place, and what the purpose of you being here? So when the tribe of Dan conquered their land, they sent 5 people to spy out the land. So when the spy entered to the house of Micha, they met Yehonatan, and that's the reason why they asked him those questions. Amrulo, the people of tribe of Dan said to Yonatan, Lavi Moshe ka'atit, dichtiv be'al tikrav halom. it means the Almighty warned Moses not to get close to a burning bush, which we're all familiar with the story. So since it's the Maharsha said the same word, halom, bazeh, po, so that's the reason why they use it here. But lavi Moshe ka'atid, dechtiv mazeh beyadecha, a famous staff that turned to a snake. Lavi Moshe ka'atid, dechtiv v'ata po amod imadi, which is after the great revelation of Sinai, which we're going to re-encounter in a short time in the festival of Shavuot. God said to Moses, stand here and hearken and learn all the mitzvot, and then transmit it to the nation. So it means you follow the same idea. So they said, Te'aseh la'avodah zarah. So what are you doing? You are now all of a sudden worship idols. אמר להם, כך מקומלן עם בית אבי הבא, לא יזכיר אדם עצמו לעבודה זרה ונצטרך לעבוד. That's a hard concept. So the idea is that the person should never be a tzedakah collector or beg for fund for people, even in that sense to go and idol worshipping. And the Rashbam said, as long as you don't believe in that, but not ask people for help. So then there is a famous Yerushalmi in Brachot, page 9, that said that there was someone, any person who come and want to idol worship, Yehonatan convinced him that it's nonsense, shouldn't do it. But anyway, who savar, Yehonatan hold that Moses intended avodat zara mamash, which means a person allow, God forbid, in order to make a living to go and idol worship. It says velohi, absolutely that's not the intent. Ela avodah zara, avodah zara lo, that it's alien to him. Amar לרב כהנא נטוש נבלתה בשוקה ושקול אגרה ולתימה גברא רבענה וזילה במילתא. Said to him, skin a dead animal in the market, which is very embarrassing, denigrated job, and you don't say, oh, I'm an important person, I'm a great man, it's beneath me to do this type of job. So Romei Sadeh and Rashbam explained that anything that you're doing in order to make a living, it's respectful. Now, I heard it from one of my very close friend. He is a rabbi in Israel, and one of his people have a large family, and he doesn't even have money to have shoes for his children for Yom Tov. So he went to him and he asked for help. So he said to him, look, you take any job out. So he went to one of his students and he said, you have a caterer business, can you hire so-and-so? So the guy said, look, I don't need employee, but if he's willing to clean dishes, do basic work, I overpay him just instead of paying directly tzedakah. So my friend, the rabbi, was very happy. He went back to that guy and he said, you see, you have a large family, you cannot feed them, get close to the holidays, you don't want to collect fund. Here I have a job for you. You work for the caterer business and you clean dishes. The guy said, no, that's beneath me. I can do this job. So he kind of, that's what the Gemara said here. כיוון שראה דוד שממון חביב עליו ביותר, since King David noticed that Yehonatan basically is kind of very much excessively precious to the money. So he said to him, שנאמר, this is a chronicle, and he said, ושבול בן גרשון בן משה נגיד על האוצרות, וכי שבואל שמו ולא נתן שמו, אלא אמר רבי יונתן ששב לאל בכל ליבו. So here is a version that he did teshuva, and even people who come and worship idol, he tried to tell them that to do teshuva. Anyway, so a few versions how long and if he came back, and anyway, והבנים את האב. So here we talk about the inheritance, who is the one who inherited, and the Mishnah teaches us in the list of those who inherit from and bequeath to each other. So they said sons with regard to the father, menalan. How do you know that son take precedent before daughter? Dechtiv, the same book of Bamidbar, chapter 28, ish ki yamut. So why they said that if a person passed away, Tama, the reason that the daughter inherited, it's only because the en-law ben, that the deceased doesn't have a son that follow him, meaning that be a heir for his estate. Hayesh lobat ben kodem. So it means that if there is a son, he take precedent before daughter, and basically it's the Gemarrah in Yevamot 62. Now you should know that Zichron Shmuel and others say that when it's come to Yerushat Ben Noach, the inheritance of Ben Noach, so son and daughter are equal. It's a matter of fact that nowadays there are some great rabbis that reconsider the whole structure of that Yerusha, and obviously each case is different. But again, we back here. אמר רב פאור לאביי, אימה איקה בין לירות בין, if the sentence meant that if it's only have a son, איקה בת תירות בת, and if it's a daughter, the daughter should inherit it, איקה בין ובן לא חי לירות ולא חי לירות, if they are son and daughter, so neither this one should inherit it, nor that one should inherit. So the Gemara question said, ve'ela, you mean to say rather when it's a son and daughter, page 110b, my leirut, who is the one who should inherit it? Atu bar kasha de maral leirut, you mean to say that's kind of a euphemism or simile. They said you mean to say that the mayor of the city is the one who inherited, because the Ritva explained that you can't tell me that the other relatives inherited, because when it's come to son and daughter, they considering as a bar kasha. So they said, "Hachika minan ika ben uvat lo hay lerut kulei v'lo hay lerut kulei la kehatei hadre leirtu," which is they have a join in their Yerusha. So the Rashbam explained the pasuk meant ish ki amut, a person who passed away. Uben en lo you have no son, so you bring the estate to his daughter. Versus if you have son and daughter, they are equal in their inheritance. אמר לאביי ויצריך קרא להשמועינן, היכא לאחד ברא, only in a case that you have only one son. לרתינו לכול נכסי, so it means that he have all the inheritance. So he said, ודילמה כמשמע דבת נמי בירושאי. So you may say that the daughter is also have part of the inheritance, which means that this going to emphasize that the son take precedent before daughter. Rabbi Yaakov wants to offer another way to know how we know that son take precedent before daughter. רבי יעקב אמר, מאחר למה יגרש אבינו מתוך משפחתו כי אין לו בן, תמה ואין לו בן, יש לו בן קודם להם. So son take precedent before daughter. So the story of daughter of Tzlofchad, they want to inherit it from the father only because it wasn't a son that received a part, the Rashbam explained, because if it was a son, they will not go and claim for the estate, and it's because they want to make sure that it's within the framework of the family. Now, so because they hold that that's the rules, but then Nitnat Torah, and then we have the parasha of Nachalot, the Torah portion that dealing with the law of inheritance. And we have a new clarification of the rules, which is the son and daughter are equal in inheritance, not the way that the daughter of Tzlofchad holds. So he said that so you have to say that the way that was answered initially, which is as Abaye derived from the pasuk, if a man dies and is no son, there he shall be passed to inheritance to his daughter. Ravina Amar Me'achar, Ravina bring another pasuk, that's in Bamidbar 27 verse 11. HaKarov elav, you give it to the next to him in the sense of the closest one. So he said Karov kodem, that the closer one to the deceased, the early one in order of inheritance. So the son of the deceased is considered to be the closest relative to the deceased than the daughter. Umay kurva deven mibat, what exactly the closest in kin from son to daughter. Sheben kam tachat avi liyada or l'shtei achuzah. This we explained yesterday and day before yesterday. There are very important two components that son take precedent. One, if it's a Hebrew maid servant. So Hebrew maid servant, they pay for that. So then he can come and says, oh, I have a daughter. So I have this Hebrew servant. And the guy wants to marry her. So he said, all right, I already paid for her, so that's basically the deal, and by that money I can have her. Another idea is after they divide the land, they have ancestry field, and therefore it's called Sdei Achuzah. So that's what left after Yoshua divided the land. That's applied to the son. So it means that if you redeem a state that was consecrated and by the father, it's not divided by the jubilee to the priest, but returned to the father. Versus daughter, she's not stand next in line after the father. So he said, Yadam ibad lai v'yadai he. So he said, so daughter, it's total a different story. She cannot marry to another woman, the Rashbam explained. Sdei Achuzah nami, mehai picha gufa hu, dekay maleh letana. Klum yesh yibum elav b'makom she'en ben. Which means, as we explained earlier, the whole idea of son, it's because the whole Levirate marriage, except in a case when there is no son. So there's no son. So if it's a daughter, it's a total different story. So they said, you have to say the way that we said it originally, which is that when it's time to Levirate marriage, in a case where there is no sons, so they said that it's clear that the source of the halakha is answered initially that the son take precedent before daughter, and that's we learn from the word uben en lo, he doesn't have a son. You have another option to understand it from different source. The Torah said in the book of Dvarim, chapter 11, verse 21, we say every day in Kriyat Shema, your life have a long life. So what we derive from that? So he said, first one, you should inherit it to your children. That's in Vayikra 25. So he said, the Torah said clearly you should inherit it b'neichem. Anyway, the next one, so he said bracha shani. So you cannot compare the two because blessing different. When you talk about the blessing, the term b'neichem should be understood in its broader sense, you children. When it's come to halacha, it is to be understood in a narrow sense, which is really your son. Then the Mishnah said, the paternal brothers inherit from one another and bequeath to one another. We learn in verbal analogy in juxtaposition because they use the word achva, brothers, in the sons of Yaakov. The same way as the sons of Yaakov. The Torah said, mina av velo mina em. Specifically, we have 12 sons of Yaakov that was born to different mothers, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. And if you remember the pasuk, they said when the brothers get together after Jacob passed away, they said, "Anachnu, achim anachnu, bnei ish echad nachnu." We are sons of one man. So therefore, we derive from that afkan mina av velo mina em. You go by the paternal, not maternal. Velama lemishpachto v'yarash ota ktiv, because the Torah said in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 27, when it's come to the law of inheritance, the Torah said mimishpachto, which is you get it from his family, he shall inherit it. When the term family is used in the Torah, the idea is said mishpachat av kruya mishpacha, mishpachat em ena kruya mishpacha, leMishpachotam leBeit Avotam. So the male, the paternal, it's called family. The mother family is not called one family by the biblical terms. So that is all matter of inheritance. It is all paternal relatives who are taken into account. So he said, what Rabbi stated is regarding to the Levirate marriage, which is that the Levirate marriage is performed only by paternal brother, but not by a maternal brother, because that's the Torah said in the book of Dvarim, chapter 25, Ki yishvu achim yechdav. If you have brothers that dwell together, one of them passed away, and is no son, ben-in-law. So by using the verbal analogy, the juxtaposition, if we use the word achva, brothers twice, we derive from that achim, brothers, is only paternals, but not maternals. That's the way the Rashbam explained to us.